Yo, what's up, guys? We're back with another video, and just want to apologize for not posting. A lot of you have dropped comments in my Discord server and on my videos to ask me, like, listen, please continue with the series and drop more content. We want to watch it, and I'm sorry, guys. I've been going through some family issues on my side, but we are back again. We're gonna Today's video, we're looking at functions and return statements. Now, in the last video, we went over functions, tables, while loops, and stuff like that. But in this video, we're going to go in more depth of what functions are and how we use them with return statements. Now, before we go in, get your script ready in server script service. Okay, so we've got it here. Now, before I explain now exactly what everything does is, in the previous videos, we explained what a function is, okay? But we used a local function. Now, in this video, before we continue, I want to explain what a function is compared to a local function, all right? Now, a local function is something that happens locally. Don't get me confused now when I say it happens locally, because this does not target the local player or the client, okay? That still happens on the server, or you can do it on the client. That's all up to you as a developer. But in this scenario, a local function is something that happens in one script. It can't be moved over or duplicated over to another script. Whereas a function is a global function. So this can be used all over instead of just one script, like this one, okay? So I just wanted to clarify that before we moved on with our series. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to work with a local function, purely because, we're not going to be working with multiple scripts. Maybe in the advanced series we might. But for this, I want to keep this like very basic and super easy to understand, right? So over here we have a local function. We gave the function a name, and then in here the parameters are empty. Now, I want to go over this because this is one thing I see a lot with new developers. They ask questions like, can the test be any name, or can it be anything, or does it have to be test or something? Now, to answer that question now for you, quick and simple, this can be anything, okay? It can be blue monkey for all they care, okay? It can be whatever. It can be all caps. It can be all lowercase. It can be like this, whatever you want to do it, okay? It doesn't matter, okay? Like, this is a name. It's like you've got a name. It doesn't matter how your name was spelled, but you have a name, right? That's the same thing with a function, or a local function, or a global function. Doesn't matter where you're working with. This here can be anything, right? Now let's move on to these brackets. What exactly are these brackets, right? Now, these brackets store information. Look at it as a local variable, okay? Let's look at it like this first. So let's exclude this for now, okay? So over here we have a local variable and it's storing information, which is test. Now, when we come to a local function, we can do the same thing, which is pretty cool, okay? Now, you might be asking, but okay, so let's store some information, test. No, don't do that, okay? That's not gonna work. If you're gonna do something like that, store it in a variable, okay? Not in a function. So let's remove this. Now, what you want to do here is when you want to store information, let's say, for example, you want to store a player, okay? You can do player, but you also want to store the character. So, character. You can do it like that, okay? So now you've got the player, you've got the character. Essentially, when you would use this is when you've actually got these models at hand, okay? So, essentially now this won't work, but this is just to give you a hint of what can be there. So for now, we're just going to do simple basic math, okay? So we're going to do A, comma, B. Now notice we don't put any parentheses here or anything, because these are arguments, they parameters, okay? So it's data holders. It's almost like a variable within a function. Put it like that. It's pretty epic. Now, if we look at this, we have a return statement. What does this thing actually do? Okay, so let's actually see if Roblox can give it to us. Okay, so they don't. But in simple words is return, it returns a certain value that you've requested. So let's say there was 10 here, right? 10. But don't take this literally, but let's say there was 10 there. And we wanted to return that number 10. Okay, you would add that to here. Sorry about that. You would add that to here and then move on like that. Okay, but I'll get into that. So a comma b. So here it's asking us now, we telling the game we want to return a certain thing or an item or a value, whatever it may be, right? So in here, the local function add a comma b, this here is holding two placeholders, okay? So there can be two things, right? Now, what we want to do is, let's say we want to add a plus b, okay? So we do a plus b. Now, keep in mind, this is case sensitive. So if you had to do that, it's going to error, okay? Because there is no such placeholder for b. So we put it like that, okay? Now, let's say we already have the whole function done. Okay, we're done with this. Because now what we've said is we have a comma b, right? Which is storing a value. But here, we're going to add these two values together. But now you might be asking, okay, but where's the value? I don't see it, right? That's where we're getting to now. So let's do print add 5, 5. Or let's actually do 10, 5, right? So if we run this, it gives us 15. But now you might be asking, okay, but surely I can just do print 10 plus 5 and run it, I'll still get the same value. Fine, fair enough, you can. I agree. But then comes the problem is, how do you intend to return values or data with a print statement? That's not going to happen, okay? Now, this is where you'll use return. Let's say a player purchases something in your game, right? And you want to return their money to update it somewhere. You could use a return statement, okay? If a player wants to maybe purchase something like a plot or something like that, but you want to see if they're the owner. When they've purchased it, you want to take that value and you want to assign it somewhere. That's where return comes in, right? So it can be a bit confusing at first, but the more you work with it and the more you practice with it, it gets easier and easier. So now we want to look at how we're actually going to be working with this, right? So this local function has already a set table, okay? It's returning two values, right? But now, what if we wanted to store these values first before doing something? Because, for example, in your game again, you wanted to store something of a player and then use it later on in your game, okay? So we can say local added values equals add 5, 5, right? So now we've already got this. Now, instead of printing the function, we've assigned this function to a variable, okay? Then all we do is print added values. So now let's run it. We get 10. Why? Because 5 plus 5 is 10. If we had to do a multiplication, it would give us 25. If we had to do a minus, it would give us 0, right? If we had to do divide, it will give us 1. And there it is. Okay. So essentially, this can be used in many ways, right? But now comes the answer is, but I don't want to have two values like this. I already have a stored value I want to use. Okay, that's cool. So what we can do is we can take that out. We can say local b equals 10. Okay, so there we already have it now. We've sorted that problem out. Now, what you want to do then here is put 10. Okay, so I wouldn't recommend doing this because it's not very sustainable within a function. So what you could do is move it up. Okay, reason for that is because now we can actually use this. Okay, so let's run this. Gives us 15. So notice why I never put it in here, because let me show you something. If I put it in there, fine, it will work. But now let's run it. Gives us 15 again. Fair enough. Problem is B errors here, and most developers that are upcoming mistake this as an error. Sometimes an error is not really an error. Okay, that is the tricky part here, because if we run it, gives us 15. If we put it at the top, it gives us 15 too. Okay, so hopefully this video was easy to understand. If it was a bit difficult to resonate with what I've explained, I do understand. But if you do have any questions or any concerns you want to raise, or you need assistance, do drop a comment below and I can see if I can help you. Alternatively, there is a Discord link that you can join my Discord server with, and you can ask me questions there. I'm more than willing to help you. And yeah, we're a small channel, so guys, don't forget to follow and like the video if you thought it was like useful to you or not. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.